Good morning. Today is Friday, Reish Chodesh Elul. It's the first day of the month of Elul. And today, we begin, it is the 40 days of compassion and slichas, forgiveness. We're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. We're getting ready for a beautiful year, Be'ezrat Hashem. And the custom is today, it's the second day of Rosh Chodesh, is that today we start blowing the shofar, the sounding of the shofar. Obviously, if you can do it in person, it's the best thing. You come and you listen to the shofar blowing. We're going to do this also. And now, so in case you don't have an opportunity to hear the shofar, at least you hear the shofar through the wonders of technology. So we're going to stand up and sounding the shofar. And then we'll start with the Tanya share. So, Hashem should give us aksiva v'chasima toiva, a good gebenchte year to each and every one of us, b'tech klal Israel. A good beginning for this month. And we're going to start now the Tanya Shir. We are beginning today the 10th chapter of Igeret HaKodesh, the 10th letter of the part of the Tanya, which is the holy letters that the Alter Rebbe wrote. We have a collection of 32 letters. And as we mentioned in the past, many of these letters are talking about the mitzvah of tzedakah, of the charity. The Alter Rebbe gave a lot of focus. And yesterday we learned how the charity these days is even in the standard, it's like the greatest mitzvah, even in a sense greater than Talmud Torah and learning Torah, because this is a mitzvah that today is needed to bring Mashiach, because Ein Yisrael Nigolim Ella B'Tzedakah. It says that the Yidden are redeemed through tzedakah. And today, in today's chapter, the Alter Rebbe begins by explaining that there are different kinds of kindness that comes from Hashem. There is a kindness which is limited kindness that is connected with this world, and there is a kindness that comes from Hashem which is above the world. Kindness comes from unlimited kindness. And in generally speaking, when these terms is explained in Hasidus, then the kindness that is represented in the kindness which is limited to this world, we're talking about the natural kindness that Hashem gives, and kindness that comes from the unlimited kindness. This is kindness which comes through the Torah. Today, the Alter Rebbe goes a little deeper, and he says that even that the kindness which is the unlimited kindness is way, way above. In other words, the limited kindness, even the kindness that comes through the Torah, he calls it limited kindness. The unlimited kindness is totally a whole different level. And let's see how the Alter Rebbe says. We're going to start from reading inside the Tanya. So it begins the Alter Rebbe, chapter 10, in Igeret HaKodesh. Achrei drishas shalom v'chaim, after greeting of life and peace. Pesach dvorai yoir oizen, May my opening words rouse the ear that hears. Oizen shemas, teichachas chaim, shemas teichachas chaim, that hears the life-giving admonition. Asher eichiach Hashem chai, that the living God admonished al yedei nevioi, through his prophet, ve'omar, and he said, it says in the prophet, this is in a verse in Eicha, they say, Chasdei Hashem ki loi samnu. The literal meaning of what that means is the kindness of God have surely not ended. Chasdei Hashem ki loi samnu. However, the Alter Rebbe points out that there is a problem with these words. In Hebrew, when you say samnu, samnu means we have not ended. When we're saying that the kindness of Hashem, Chasdei Hashem, that the kindness of Hashem have not ended, it should have said samu. Samu means they have not ended. Why does it say samnu, which means we have not ended? That's what the Alter Rebbe is asking. And it should have said, Ki loi samu, that they have not ended. The kindness of Hashem have not ended. And he brings a proof from a different verse that says, K'may shekasuv, as it says, Ki loi samu chasadecha v'chulu. The phrase says, your kindness, we say it every morning by davening. As K'moshe Omer, it says by davening we say Ki lo samu chasadecha, Hamerachim lo samu chasadecha, that the kindness of Hashem have not ended. So here they use the word samu, not samnu. Samnu means we have not ended. In order to explain this, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain that there is different levels of kindness, and is going to go into a lengthy explanation. He's going to end by saying that the kindness of Hashem is a higher level of kindness. Why ki lo samnu? The word samnu also means perfection, from the word tam, because we are not perfect, because we have messed up, and therefore we need to reach a higher level of kindness. And he ends it up to connect with the concept of tzedakah, as we will see in this chapter. So he says, it will be understood based on what it says in the Holy Zohar, is chesed ve'is chesed. There are different types of chesed, different types of kindness. Is chesed olam. There is chesed olam, literally means world-like chesed, world-like kindness, meaning a degree of kindness which is limited by the boundaries of the world. Ve'is chesed ila'ah. There is another level of chesed which is called chesed ila'ah, the higher level of chesed, the hu rav chesed. This is called rav chesed. Kihine, to continue explain, says the Alter Rebbe. Now it is well known. Moida Zuis, it is well known. A Torah nikres oiz. The Torah is called oiz. Oiz means strength. Shehu lashen gevura. It is an expression of gevura. What is gevura? Gevura means strength. Gevura also means restriction. The level of the chesed is giving, gevura is restricting. And where do we find that the Torah is referred to as gevura, the level of gevura? It says the Alter Rebbe, Amru Chazal, as our sages say, Taryag mitzvos nemru leMoshe miSinai. There are 613 mitzvos that were given, that was told to Moshe and the Mount Sinai. From where? From who? Mipi hagevura. From the mouth of the gevura. Gevura refers to Hashem, but gevura also refers to Hashem the way he is restricting. Ukedichsiv, and it says in the Torah also, referring to the Torah, Miminoi eish das lamai. From his right hand, from his right side, there is fire. There's the Torah of fire that was given unto them. So the right side, when we're saying from one end, we say this is from the right side. When you learn Chassidus, we explain many times that the right side represents chesed, kindness, giving. That's why the Torah is also compared. It says the Torah is compared to water. Water flows from the top down. It keeps giving. Fire on the other end represents the left side, and that represents restriction. So the Torah, there is a combination of both. There is the Torah itself, on the one hand it is chesed, it is Hashem's giving to us, yet on the other side it is also restricting. It is eish, it is fire, which represents restriction. Just like when you give tzedakah, you see a poor man and you give him, you take out $1 and you give to the poor man. And is that considered an act of chesed, kindness, or is it considered an act of gevura, of restriction? So you would say on the one hand, we say giving is kindness, obviously. But yet it is also gevura involved. Because when you take out the wallet, you're going to make sure it's not a $100 bill, it's a $1 or $5 bill, whatever you want to give him. So there's also restricting here. On the one hand, it's kindness, it is giving, but yet there's also a restricting. And Alter Rebbe continues to explain Pirush. This means she'atoira mekoira v'shorasho urak chasdei Hashem. The source and the root of the Torah is solely God's kindness. Amechunim b'shem yamin, that are referred to as the right side. The hainu, which means hamshochas bechinas eleikusoy yizbarech. It is the drawing down the divinity of Hashem, blessed be He, and a radiation from the infinite Ein Sof light, the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, blessed be He. That is the Torah. It is a drawing down of this light. It is affected. It is drawn down to the upper and lower worlds. That is the Torah drawing down. And this is affected by man who draws down the light upon himself. How do you draw down the light upon yourself, says the Alter Rebbe? Bekiyum ramach mitzvahs asay. It is by fulfilling the 248 positive commandments. Shehu ramach, shehem ramach ivorim de malke. These are the 248 organs of the king, of Hashem, so to speak. Pirush, and it says, what that means is ramach kelim velavushim. There are 248 vessels and garments. And this is from the infinite vessels, that radiation from the infinite Ein Sof light that is vested in them. The light of Hashem is vested in the 248 mitzvahs, and when you perform those mitzvahs, you draw down those lights to you. And from this light, and it is known from this light, the awe and love are drawn down upon a person that performs the mitzvah. Many times it happened when I go and put on tefillin with a person who didn't put on in a while tefillin. He gets so emotional. He gets so involved. He feels, what is it? What am I doing? Strapping up a piece of leather, but it's not a piece of leather. It is a piece of leather that is a mitzvah and has in it the light of Hashem, and that triggers and connects the person something that it does it with emotions. And every mitzvah is involved in it, the emotion, the light of Hashem. However, this downflow was first vested in God's attribute of Gevura, which is referred to as fire, and that is the contraction of the light, the limitation. Hashem limits the light because you cannot get this light if it's not limited. That's what Alter Rebbe continues. This which reflects the contraction, the tzimtzum of the light, ve'achayus, and the life, animshochos me'oirin soif baruch hu, that are issued forth from the infinite Ein Soif light, kedei shetucha leislabesh b'maisei mitzvahs, and thus enabling it to become vested in the performance of the commandments. That when the light is limited, you're able to gain it, to connect to it through doing of the mitzvahs. Where do we see the limitations? So the Alter Rebbe brings examples. It says that every mitzvah, by definition, is limited, is defined with its limitations. Sheruban kekulam ein bidvarim chumriyim. Practically all which are involved material things. Most of the mitzvahs, the vast majority of the mitzvahs, are involved with some physical material things which is limited. For example, ketzitzis, tefillin, karbanes, tzedakah. Tzitzis, what you have the mitzvah of tzitzis, wearing the corners, the tzitzis is limited. It has the size, how it has to be, and what it has to be. Tefillin, the same thing as a tefillin. You put on tefillin. The tefillin also has its size, the minimum size. It has to be black, and it has to be squared. All of these limitations. There's karbanes, the offering, the sacrifices, what kind of offering, how old the animal has to be, and so on and so forth. The same thing is with tzedakah. Tzedakah is also limited. What's the minimum to give? And there is a certain cases is also a maximum what you can give. So this is true in mitzvahs, which is physical mitzvahs. They are limited. But not only the physical mitzvahs, even the mitzvahs that are connected with the spiritual part of the person, with man's spirit, for example, kemoi yira ve'ahava. There is a mitzvah of loving Hashem. There is a mitzvah of fear of Hashem. So you would say, is there a limit how much love you should love Hashem? How much you should love God? No, there is no limit. How much you should fear God? There is no limit. Nevertheless, says the Alter Rebbe, even those mitzvahs are also limited. Even the mitzvahs which is like emotional, like spiritual mitzvahs are also limited. Afal pikein, nevertheless, hein bebchinas gvul u'midah. They are limited of limited measure. Veloi bibchinas ein sof klal, and by no means are the of infinite extent. Why? Because if you will have love to Hashem without limits, a man cannot contain it. If you have full love of Hashem, you will not be able to stay in your body, not even a moment. You'll not be able to exist. And the Alter Rebbe brings the example, Kemai Marazal, as our sages tell us, Shebish'as matan Torah, that in the time when God gave the Torah, that there was the revelation of godliness, the endless light of Hashem, of the Ein Sof, it was then revealed, their souls have departed. Why? Because this was a godly revelation that they had, and they felt this love to Hashem to the point that their physical body was not vessels, was not capable of holding that high spiritual level. That's why the souls of the Jewish people, when they received the Torah on the Mount Sinai, and they heard God speaking the words, Anoichi Hashem Elekecho, the first two words, it was I'm your God, the first two commandments. Lo yeh lecha, those are the first two commandments. Those are commandments that the people heard directly from Hashem. But what happened was, after every commandment, it says the soul departed. And God had to revive them once again. So therefore, is the point here, the Alter Rebbe says, is that the mitzvahs are also limited. Everything what we have, even though it's way, way above anything that God gives in this world, but still those mitzvahs are limited. And the Alter Rebbe is going to continue to explain how there is the higher level of chesed and how we can connect to the higher level of chesed. And Bezrat Hashem, God willing, we'll continue on Sunday morning. So again, please join us live at 9 a.m. every day, except for Shabbos, of course. And we should all have a wonderful Shabbos. And you have the link down to be able, if you want to join live, we can discuss after the class also. Should have a wonderful Shabbos and a good HaKodesh and a good Tanya.